Hello, welcome to my channel, Temples of Jesus. Welcome back, existing members. Warm welcome to new members, and welcome to anyone who has not subscribed yet, but you are visiting the channel. Please like, save, share, subscribe if you enjoy this content. Thank you for visiting. The interview with Jared from Christian Homestead I thought it went pretty well yesterday. It went longer than people probably would want to watch for like the content that was in there. I was a little bit chatty and I was a little bit extra like excited. My mom said that I wasn't hyper, but that, I was very enthusiastic. And that's how I feel. I do feel very enthusiastic. But I was sharing with Jared before the interview yesterday morning that I had had kind of a rough night the night before. I've just not been getting as much sleep as I need. And it was, it took like a 1 milligram melatonin at 5 in the morning and didn't get back to bed until 6. So, anyways, I woke up after 9 a.m. and our interview was at 11 a.m. And I don't talk to people until I'm like awake for probably 4 hours because it takes me a while to be able to speak without like embarrassing myself. So I am not an energy drinker. I don't drink much caffeine at all. And because I was so groggy and trying to prepare for the interview, and the interview was really important to me because I was hoping that I could touch someone or like reach someone who could relate, or it would be, like just to relate to them and help them feel good about their experience or their potential of where they can be. And so I had half an energy drink, which is like 100 micrograms or whatever of caffeine, which is 2 or 3 times the amount I typically have in a day. So I was very enthusiastic. My passion for the gospel is real and legit and on fire. And I think it just had an extra bump yesterday. So I'm not going to apologize for my passion. But yeah, I was a little bit overly excited. It's funny because we didn't plan the interview or the questions, and Jared is so sweet, and his wife Jenica is just the sweetest. And he shared, you don't need to prepare anything. Like we're just going to have kind of a casual conversation. And so I didn't prepare much, although I did have a lot of thoughts in my hyperthinking mind. Um, and actually, I was joking with him that with my ADHD, like with the hyperthinking, when I woke up at 5 a.m. before I took the melatonin, we Jared and I had an amazing interview because when someone's not around for me to talk to, I will have a whole conversation with them in my head. And our interview went very, very well. I wish it could have magically come and been the one that was on there, but I still thought it went well. After we stopped recording, Jared and Jenica and I had probably like a 25-minute discussion, just chatting and talking about other things. And Jared asked me a couple more questions. And I think perhaps part of that content is what we were kind of expecting maybe or wanting the interview to be more about like me and my life and my conversion and more specifics about how did I get called back to the gospel. And he and I were sharing little bits and pieces in an appropriate way, in my opinion, of like our patriarchal blessings and just like talking about this thing and that thing. And he and I both agreed like, gosh, I wish that we had recorded that second part of the conversation, and he shared that with one of his other friends who on YouTube. Um, that often happens where they have like an interviewer get together and then after they're done recording, like it's really good stuff on there. It's funny because I'm not a musician, but I love playing the piano and I'm trying to learn the hymns. So that way, if I'm ever at a church event in the future, once I have them down better, and there's no one to play the piano, like I can raise my hand and volunteer. I don't do that well for whatever reason in front of other people. It's not that I'm shy, it's like my brain doesn't quite work the same way as when I'm at home reading the notes. However, what I'm trying to get to is I, in practicing the piano over about the last 10 months, which haven't done in, since I was a teenager, young teenager, probably a child actually. Um, I would get kind of like not bored, but kind of just trying to practice and practice and practice songs. And so I know a very basic like amount of information with chords. I couldn't name them, but I know apparently how they can kind of sound good together. And so I started making up my own song, and I'm not going to pretend like it's not good. It's probably not for everybody, but I love my song, and I actually play it different every single time because I've never like put the notes down or like whatever. I just do different variations every time, but my family loves it. My children love it. It's got a really good melody, and I just feel so creative and energized when I'm kind of making up my own music. However, it's where I wanted to record it for the purpose of like getting it down somehow with an app or just I don't know how it would work. I haven't gotten there, but um, getting those notes down for my song so that way I can replay it later by reading the sheet music. And so I would record and record and record. I have so many recordings, and it came out good. Like they sound great, and I'm capturing the different variations. However, when I'm recording and I know I'm recording, my song is not as good. And then when I'm not recording, I like get even more creative and it sounds better. And I just get so frustrated. And my mom, I love that I'm bringing up my mom a couple times here. She watches all my videos. Hi, mom. Um, I I shared with my mom, and she was like, "Well, why don't you just have, my husband Jason, sometime when you're playing, like just have him secretly record you?" And I mentioned that to him, but he never has. So, anyways, point being, I think that's kind of what happens in an interview or just different things is if you know you're doing it for maybe like an audience or there's any sort of pressure, not performing as well. And I'm sure I would think that that's human nature. I thought the interview went well. Everybody has had the sweetest comments. I've gotten new followers. So, again, welcome new followers. I really hope that you get something out of this content because that's the only reason why I'm doing it. I keep telling uh, people like the only reason I'm doing it is for trying to make an impact. And I was telling my husband that again last night. I don't know if I keep saying that because I'm trying to justify like spending time that I really just don't have. And I hate to say that, but I'm just very busy at this season in my life with other things. And I think I'm just trying to justify to myself, like trying to find the time to do these videos. And then I realized, and I shared with him, I was like, you know what? I actually do enjoy, like, I am enjoying getting on video and talking to you all, especially as I'm now starting to get comments and I know that people are watching who are not my like closest friends and family, which of course I couldn't be anywhere without them and I wouldn't have kept going, even though it's, been just barely 2 weeks, but they've been the sweetest. Um, Amber and Heather and Linda and Lindsay and Kathleen, and I know I'm missing a couple people, but I've started getting comments. And so I think I'm kind of tired today and fighting a headache. So I'm trying to hydrate with this, like, it's called Liquid IV. I'm totally not trying to sell stuff right now. I'm not fancy enough or whatever to do that. But it's Liquid IV. And I wonder, like, where was this when I was drinking? Oh, I'm going to make my camera fuzzy again. Um, Sorry, that's such a bad thing to say, but oh, hold on, this is real life. One second. Yeah, that did fix the focus. That was hilarious, everyone, because my headset came off and then I was holding the liquid IV and it's open and it like started powder falling everywhere. Anyways, trying to hydrate with this liquid IV. And yes, I needed this so much when I was a functional substance abuse abuser, very functional. Um, and I could have used that because Gatorade and vitamin water only do so much, but that's not really healthy to talk about, right? I'll talk more about drinking and my substance abuse in another episode, not today. I think that actually is really helping because I didn't take any medicine for my headache and I started drinking this 45 minutes ago. And just when I started the video, I'm not feeling a headache anymore. How are you all today? Are you tired? Do you have a headache? Are you rested? Are you bored? Are you grateful? I woke up this morning, even though I've not been getting great sleep, and I was tired this morning, although I did actually sleep quite well last night. I didn't need a melatonin or a Tylenol or anything. I'm sorry, I'm just totally chatting with you all today. I am going to share a little bit of a gospel thought in this video. Hopefully, will just be about 25 minutes or so. Uh, where was I going? I did sleep pretty good last night. Dang, I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, moving on. So it just bothers me when I can't remember, which is often. Isn't this background so beautiful? I love St. George and Zion and Red Rock over in Summerlin in Vegas. That's where my husband and I got married, was at a resort in Summerlin, Las Vegas. Um, and we actually had our like engagement pictures done at the Red Rock area. So we love Zion National Park. I've been going since I was 7 years old and it's my fave. Okay, so people were so kind in their comments. And so I just want to share a few comments. Please stick around because I am going to get to a like a spiritual thought. Share sound. Okay. Um, on Jared's channel or Christian Homestead, wow, we've had almost 1,400 views from about a little more than 24 hours, and that's fine. But I just have to share really quick, and just on the off chance that this gentleman or this person, I think it was a man, and I'm sorry if it was a woman, but this person had posted a comment and it's gone now. And it was even there, I think, this morning. So I had my husband read it too. And basically, he was sharing, like, don't be sorry about this. I should have taken a screenshot of it on my iPhone. Don't be sorry about your like passion or enthusiasm. And, some people are at that place. At kind of like that stage where they've been, I think it was like baptized by fire, but the term was something by fire. And the, you almost second guess yourself because you're so hyper focused, not hyper focused, but like very focused, almost not obsessively. Sorry, I just don't like the words that I'm using. Um, I don't think I should post this video. I think I should just leave it in the archive. Um, Very focused to the point where it just engulfs everything. And that's it's where I'm at. I've never been there in my entire life. That's where I'm at. And his comment really like validated me and made me feel good and realize that I don't need to apologize for where I'm at. But I think just with realizing that I was kind of overly enthusiastic, am like, let's be generals of Christ, which I know that is can be very overwhelming for individuals. I was not here, like not even recently. And I was very much tiptoeing and baby stepping back to the gospel and back to the church. And, even when I was coming back, they gave me a calling that I try not to regret things or feel bad about things because I always look at my past self as she was doing her best, which I think is a really healthy way to view yourself and love yourself, um, and to move forward and also accept where you're at right now. Um, and and they gave me a calling and I was like, hey, I'm still drinking and I'm not coming to church but once a month and what have you. And they were trying to fellowship me and they gave me a calling, and it actually was a good calling for me, but I did almost nothing in the calling for a year and a half, and I felt bad about it, and I wasn't really going to church, wasn't doing my calling. Those sort of things can bring feelings of guilt and shame, and obviously I wasn't doing much of anything, other than meeting my little baby goal of going to church with the family once a month and uh, do a little bit of praying. I don't even remember if we were praying during that time, but it was definitely incremental, small, at my own pace for sure, because I don't like to be told like at what pace to go or what to do. I don't think anybody does. So Anyways, thank you for that person who left that comment. I'm not sure why that comment went away, but I see it as just a special like mercy or tender mercy, what have you, for me that I was able to read yesterday before it went away. Um, so I forgot that I was sharing my screen. G. Grace made an amazing comment, which I completely agree with and want to endorse 100 million%. For those out there that feel overwhelmed by Mindy's incredible enthusiasm, you're okay. The Lord meets us where each of us are at, and He lets us set the pace to come unto Him. Try not to feel so inept compared to her. Try not to crawl into your shell when you listen to this. So, the opposite of my intention, but I absolutely agree and understand. You are not her, and that's wonderfully, perfectly okay. Amen. It is completely fine. You don't have to be a general in God's army. It's true, you don't. You do not even have to be in his army. You just need to be in his fold, safely tucked under his perfect wing. Oh, isn't that like, let him gather you and don't compare your situation to anyone else's. Mindy's blazingly on fire, caffeine, that's awesome for her. Just kidding, it wasn't just the caffeine. You may be an ember still needing the soft breath of God to fan your ember into a small flame. Just burn wherever your level is and let the Lord lead you gently along at your level and your pace. He's perfectly willing and happy to give you such grace. Oh man, it's so good. Much love and peace to all. G Grace, I can't tell you how grateful I am that you left that comment. That's inspired and beautiful and accurate and 1,000,000% of what I'm trying to stand for. And I'm just never going to have an energy drink again because we should be looking at some of us are going to try and be shepherds, not generals. Of course, Jesus Christ is our shepherd, but I mean, some who are in different capacities of trying to support others along and really, the point is to be one in his fold. So thank you so much, G Grace, for that comment. I'm not going to read all of them. Everybody had really lovely, lovely comments. It was so sweet. Um, Grace upon Grace had some really nice comments, and she also had a conversion and a calling. Like back in 2015, God was calling her. That's another thing Jared and I talked about, and Jenica, was like this very specific calling. He asked me, "How did God call you back?" And I shared about getting my kids blessed in 2018 and then me hearing the calling of like Jesus is coming back, which I think I talked a little bit about in my intro video. Um, and then kind of where it went from there, and that um, I think that Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ through the Holy Ghost specifically called individuals back. Like he got in their hearts and in their minds and in their souls and said, come back in whatever way that it was for us to hear that and for it to make a difference. And for me, it was having the thought of Jesus is coming back. Jesus is coming back. And whether he's coming back in 3 years or 80 years, it doesn't matter to my salvation, but that's what got my attention. And that's what God knew would get me going where I needed to go in a very slow process over those 2 to 3 years 2018, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, about 2 to 3 years. Um, so, sorry. And so, yes, other people have been getting that call. And I'm almost wondering if like that call is getting close to being done, and that's not helpful because that call will continue to go out. But for God's covenant people who he needs and loves and wants to be in the fold and also wants to be in the army, um, and what was I going to say? Okay, so after 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, where a lot of individuals were called back, and perhaps after that as well, spring of 2019 is when President Nelson came out and said, for those who have distanced themselves from the church, and then I don't remember what he said after that, but he specifically called that out. And so it was like God specifically calling individuals. And then, of course, his covenant people and Israel, and that's what's going on right now. But then he came out with prophecy and revelation in as the mantelpiece or the mouthpiece of Jesus Christ leading his church specifically called us back as the prophet, just, for in my case, just like 6 months after I was hearing the call, walking around my house telling my husband like a crayhead, like Jesus is coming back, as we're like drinking and living a life that's not. And I didn't care. And he wasn't a member. And I was just like, I know you probably think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, Jesus is coming back. And then that's when we set the goal to, as a family, like dip our toes in and go 1 week per month, which we kept that goal in 2019. Okay, so thank you, Grace Upon Grace, and also the Priesthood Blessing. You guys should read these comments. They're really nice. I may do another one. Lynn was just the sweetest. She was inactive for almost 25 years, and she's, working towards coming back into sacrament meeting and struggling to take that action, which I hear you. I hear you, sister. But having a strong testimony. I felt like I had that really strong, true truth like in me, but I wasn't acting upon it. I wasn't being an actor. I was, being acted upon. I have lots of hope and need more faith. Thank you both for this encouraging video. Lynn, you are just a blessing. Um, Nancy D, thank you for your comments talking about mental health and relying on the Lord. Grace Upon Grace let us know that it's closers is the baseball term of like the the closing pitcher. So thank you. My husband was cracking up at me last night when I was telling him about the interview. He needs to watch one of my videos at one point. Betty Horn was very sweet. MMC, she was talking about being inactive and starting a YouTube channel with Spanish topics. Yes, girl, yes, do it. If you're watching this, or if someone knows her is watching this or sees her bring it up again, like do that. That's wonderful. I had a prompting 6 or 8 months ago, six, to start learning Spanish because I've really had the feeling over the last few years that um, just like we're going to need Spanish speakers. And I know we already have a lot of native Spanish speakers, and that's amazing. But I have felt like if I can speak Spanish and English, I can obviously reach more individuals, not for my YouTube channel, but just like in the future during the millennium. I don't know. Actually, I think we're all going to be speaking the same language in the millennium, hopefully not English. Um, so yes, please do that. And then I think there was another gal who does have a YouTube channel in Spanish, or gentleman. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure. And so, keep that up. And then Benjamin shared something in Spanish. So thank you for that. And then Aaron was so nice in sharing also that he bears his testimony a lot, and that's great. Um, Havenly was very nice about, prayer journals for daily miracles. Wonderful idea. And K Diva was really sweet and left a message about the word happy from President Kimball's talk. So we're actually going to look at that. It's pretty short. That's what we're going to read today if you stick around for another um, maybe 10 minutes. So I don't want to go through all of these, but I did just want to highlight that and thank you all for your comments. Grace Upon Grace again gave such a sweet on my channel now. William seems like he is a loyal, excited viewer. Thank you, William, for watching. Erin Dixon, Betty Horn again. Betty, it's MEND, MEND. You should be able to Google the MEND program, MEND, like you're mending yourself or being mended through the program. It's through Loma Linda University, and it is in person. They were virtual for a while, but it is in person. So I hope that your sister happens to live in like the Inland Empire or Orange County or Southern California. So I did just want to call out one more person, if that's okay. Such a wonderful, sweet man, and thank you. I haven't even replied to his comment because I actually want to make a whole video off of his two comments. They were from several days ago, and his name is Gordon. Gordon, if you're watching this, thank you so much. You are amazing. I'm not going to open it right now, but he gave me all of this encouragement. Um, and I think William was like the first one to start doing any comments who I didn't know who they were. And then Gordon came in and also started commenting like the next day. And he gave me all of this positive feedback and encouragement and letting me know that the channel is hopefully like productive and helpful for others. And then he gave me all of these different conference talks that were interesting. So I'm not going to go into it right now, but I did want to highlight that. Gordon, I did read your parts of your comments, and I am going to do a video off of them probably this weekend. So thank you so much. Okay, let's move on and go to you are the women he foresaw. It's I started highlighting it and then I was like, actually, it's all good and it's not too long, so we're going to read all of it. In 1979, President Spencer W. Kimball was in the hospital and asked his wife, Camilla, to read his talk to a general women's meeting. And Jared from Christian Homestead had made a comment like, "Oh, that's interesting that she was the one who ended up reading it. Like she's the woman giving the message from the prophet about the women he foresaw." And I think there's definitely some meaning and importance there. So she shares, Sister Camilla Kimball shared, much of the major growth that is coming to the church in the last days will come because many of the good women of the world, in whom there is often such an inner sense of spirituality, will be drawn to the church in large numbers. This is going to happen. It may not be happening right this moment, but it is going to happen. This will happen to the degree that the women of the church reflect righteousness and articulateness in their lives, and to the degree that the women of the church are seen as distinct and different in happy ways from the women of the world. President Russell M. Nelson shares, "My dear sisters, you who are our vital associates during this winding up scene, the day that President Kimball foresaw is today. It's today. The winding up scene. He saw this. President Kimball did. This is it. We're in it right now." And I think that's. I'm sorry. That's part of why I was like, we need generals. We need soldiers. Um, I'm excited about this. That we're in this day, and we're not all in that place. And I'm also in a place where next week I may be like hanging out in my bed, not able to move because I have no energy. And I feel like I have a couple of days of depression or where I start to get really anxious and like, maybe I'll be too anxious to do a video for a few days. But right now I'm feeling in a place where I can give of myself to a degree. So we just having grace and patience with ourselves is so important. And like when you have that energy, do your best. And when you don't, you are doing your best and accept that. I find that when I'm in a not the place where I want, where I'm the most motivated or productive, or like I'm taking a lot of time for myself, just doing what feels like unproductive things, watching TV or just being in a kind of being alone in my room or like what have you, that if I kind of tell myself that this is okay, this is where you're at right now, and I love myself and I'm going to give myself encouragement and space, and obviously, like, this is what I need. And I know that's so much easier said than done, but I seem to come out of it sooner. So if I allow myself and give myself permission to be there, whether it's for the morning or the evening or for a week or a week and a half, on and off. Um, I see, I'll first tell myself I always come out of it. So it won't always be like this. And again, having that perspective, it can be challenging in that time when you're in that different mindset. But that gives me perspective and hope for one thing. But then another thing is to allow myself and give myself permission that it is okay to be in this space and not like horribly judging myself and allowing myself to feel all sorts of guilt. Again, easier said than done, but I just wanted to share my experience of kind of what helps. So, sorry. Back to President Nelson. You are the women he foresaw. Your virtue, light, love, knowledge, courage, character, faith, and righteous lives will draw good women of the world, along with their families, to the church in unprecedented numbers. So, this is President Nelson now saying this today. We're in this day, And what President Kimball was talking about was that they're going to come in unprecedented numbers. We need your strength, your conversion, your conviction, your ability to lead, your wisdom, and your voices. The kingdom of God is not and cannot be complete without women who make sacred covenants and then keep them. Get to the temple. Women who can speak with the power and authority of God. Wherever you're calling, whatever you're calling, or the stage that you're at, or the experience that you're at in your life, whatever you're calling, oh, sorry, he says that, whatever your circumstances, we need your impressions, your insights, and your inspiration. And I'm seeing that in your all like in your comments. And so I know that you're a group who is sharing your insights and impressions and inspiration, both the men and the women. We need you to speak up, women. We need you to speak up and speak out in ward and stake councils. We need each married sister to speak as a contributing and full partner as you unite with your husband in governing your family. Married or single, you sisters possess distinctive capabilities and special intuition you have received as gifts from God. We, brethren, cannot duplicate your unique influence. We have a unique influence that cannot be duplicated. We know that the culminating act of all creation was the creation of woman. That's awesome. We need your strength. I thank you, my dear sisters, and bless you to rise to your full stature, to fulfill the measure of your creation. As we walk arm in arm in this sacred work, together we will help prepare the world for the second coming of the Lord. We're preparing right now. It's coming soon. Oh, let's go ahead and look at this. What is this reference? A plea to my sisters. Oh, we should read that sometime. I'm sorry, I don't have time right now, but I'll try and make a mental note to go back and we can look at a plea to my sisters to dive into this deeper. So I forgot how to like stop share. Okay. So I went off a little bit yesterday, not went off, but got kind of passionate with with Jenica and Jared when I was talking about how something I wanted to share was just I think part of where I'm at also is that I've been able to break some ties with like gender um, and 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 some culture in the church and just how our society is in general as a patriarchal society. And I don't say the word patriarchal. I need to find a synonym for that in a demeaning way, in terms of like to the priesthood and patriarchs. Just that we've. I'm not going to get into it because I'm not educated enough to like speak about it. But basically, I have been able to successfully, and a lot of it was from the men's program and the work I did there, um, to stop filtering myself and what I share or don't share and becoming like a chameleon in a way based on what I am perceiving others to be thinking. And so I don't know if that's my ADHD or if that's a normal thing that you all, a lot of you have as well, where I am constantly thinking, like, what is that person thinking about me? So I've had a really blessed life in that people have not been rude to me. They've not, said horrible things. I mean, I have had experiences, but people aren't judging me and saying things to me. I'm judging myself for them. Like it's very whatever. And it's like storytelling in your mind, which is not healthy. It's usually not true. Even if it is true, like whatever, that's their thoughts and their judgments. But I've been able to kind of clear this where I'm not thinking like, oh, what do those men think over there about me getting up again or speaking out again, or what are the women thinking? Because we do, there's a lot of stereotypes that women have as well, even though it's women kind of having stereotypes about women. And so I think just part of that was I was sharing that I've been able to kind of take full ownership as myself as an individual, even though I'm married with a husband. I do truly feel like 100% equal as a partner. Um, the proclamation of the family speaks in such a way that it does define the roles, but then there is a part that says, I don't remember the exact part, but it does talk about like or as like for your particular family and in that season. And like in this season right now, I'm the breadwinner. For quite a while I've been like the spiritual leader of our home the last about year or year and a half. And now that he's getting the priesthood and recently got the Melchizedek priesthood, and he's still kind of having a conversion, I really hope that we can co-lead spiritually in our home, or even maybe like he can do it for a while. But I've had these experiences where I've been able to, and then I said, I like totally called out, I don't know, I said some words that kind of shocked them, but just about like men, having this and women having this, and like that doesn't matter. Anyways, so um, I was bringing that up because he said, specifically, we need each married sister, this is from the prophet in Revelation, we need each married sister to speak as a contributing and full partner as you unite with your husband in governing your family. I know that not everyone is married out there, but that was specifically for them. Um, oh, and look, he gives us an apostolic blessing, even though he doesn't call it that. I thank you, my dear sisters, and bless you. So he's going to bless us right now. I bless you to rise to your full stature, to fulfill the measure of your creation. Together, we will help prepare the world for the second coming of the Lord. I just love that part too, where he's talking about where, yeah, um, married or single, you sisters possess distinctive capabilities and special intuition you have received as gifts from God. We, brethren, cannot duplicate your unique influence. And I don't highlight that in a attempt to diminish the brethren. Like I love the brethren. I don't have struggles as maybe some people do with like, a lot of the leadership are the men, although we do have a lot of women leadership as well. But I love that President Nelson, like he's so inclusive when it comes to gender and race and, different groups. Like he's been a very inclusive um, prophet. And I think that's part of why I'm so drawn to him and drawn to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints right now. I'm going to go. Have a good night and take care. Thanks for visiting. I'm not going to review this, so hopefully I don't embarrass myself too much. All right, we're going to read some more Book of Mormon probably tomorrow, and I'm putting that in a different spot, a different playlist in a folder. So I guess like we need a little outro. I can't think of anything. I don't want to have to put you guys through my singing. I am a child of God, or I love to see the temple. But I am going to sing that to my kids in a little bit for bedtime. All right, take care.